and welcome back to the stream. I am Bahamut, your caster, and we have another series on our hands. Welcome back to the Nexus Gaming series. On the left, we have Alaska, and on the right, we have Misplaced Ults. The one thing I did not check before we started the stream is to make sure that my audio settings were not changed by Windows, so apologize. Okay, cool. We are 100% on all the audio stuff. Looks, and we changed our cursor size too. Looks like we're gonna have a garage band here going into Brax's holdout, and then Alaska's gonna respond right away with a Malthael band, and this draft is going quicker than I can even start to elaborate. Okay, we're gonna get the Gul'dan right out of the gate. I'm wondering if they're gonna try and pair this in with an Ariel. At the same time, Alaska could take that combination right off the start of the game here. That is a possibility. We have seen some interesting drafts from them, and I wonder what they're going to be pulling out this game. We did stream them last night when they had a little bit of a stream. I apologize. Tim Hutch? Your name's in blue, and I have dark mode up for my Twitch, and like it's just I can barely even read it, but thank you so much for swinging by. Hi, everybody in Twitch chat. But we're going to have an ETC Rhaegar lockdown right away, and this is just a strong pickup on the side of Alaska. We've seen in previous games, these seem to be a lot of heroes they often play, and this is starting to become a standardized draft for them. So curious to see as we progress through this league, our team's going to start, you know, not going to toot my own horn, but you know, you can come to my stream and maybe get the lowdown on a few different, you know, teams here. You know, that's advanced strats though. You know, not every team's doing that, but at the same time, we're going to have a Dahaka and a Greymane. This is interesting. I really like this. They're going to go ahead and pick up their solo laner as well as their main melee damage and a lot of their burst. And the Gul'dan to follow up with that is going to be terrifying. We actually see a Stukov hover here currently, and I absolutely love this ban. Stukov, in my opinion, is extremely powerful on this map. The zoning he provides with his lurking arm is extremely powerful. The spread of the pustule for the healing to a 4-man in the bottom lane is extremely beneficial. You can stand down there for quite some time just because of the way that it spreads and how much you do get from the burst. Even if you don't get that burst from the activatable, you still get a decent amount of healing from that base. But it looks like they're going to potentially go for the Nubarak. Not a bad idea either because, as we saw in some previous games, they don't want to deal with the fact that there potentially could be a web wrap onto their Rhaegar. And with that web wrap, I mean, Greymane can dive right in. That Gul'dan, you know, damage over time that he can put out. And then you also have Dahaka. If there's no cleanse from the Rhaegar, Dahaka gets that tongue, pulls one of those members in the back line, and you can say goodnight. Now, on the side of Misplaced Ults, what are they going to be taking into this ban here? The draft on the side of Alaska, it's quite interesting because it doesn't really give you any direction as where it's going. You've got a strong tank and a strong healer. And I've said this, you know, every time a lot of these teams do this, when they get the 1-2 slot for the ban or for the pick, locking in this tank healer, it makes it really difficult for them to kind of pick out a main assassin that you could potentially go for. So they're going to go ahead and get the Kale through Zod, and Cho'Gall is out. And this is going to sound like... oh, I knew it. But, like, I didn't want to say anything because there was the Malthael ban at the beginning, and I was like, if I say it and the other team is watching, like, the delay I don't think is long enough for them to maybe consider it. So I'm not going to say anything about any sort of, like, future kind of picks. I'll try and talk about them in the moment. Just, I don't want to ruin these drafts for everybody, but that was... I mean, it was in the back of my mind for a second. I was like, it's Braxis. It is a 2-lane map. They do work here really well. So they went ahead and got it, and I'm curious to see what they're going to fill for that last slot for their main source of damage. It's interesting that there doesn't look like they're going to be going on the Ariel. I mean, they still can. It's a viable option. Then again, they have Greymane and Gul'dan on the side of Misplaced Ults, and I honestly think an Ariel would pair very well into this. But they're actually going to go for the Stukov and the Arthas. Okay, so that Stukov ban, not really biting them in the butt, but definitely, you know, they kind of, I think it was 50-50. It was we deal with the web wrap from the Anubarak or we deal with the zoning from the Stukov. So that's definitely something that they chose to go ahead and deal with. And I just realized I didn't set myself to referee, so I cannot see messages. So I'm just going to take a quick second here to message the team. But it looks like we're actually going to have the Zagara here with the Cho'Gall. This is interesting, but either way, we're going to be going, I'm just letting the teams know that, letting them know that I cannot see any sort of messages. On the left-hand side, though, we do have Alaska with Sierras on Zagara, Hedgie on Cho, Bubble This on ETC, Varen on Rhaegar, and Rexpa on Gall. On the right-hand side, we have Misplaced Ults with Crackmacken, Searmaka on Gul'dan, Linkin Park on Arthas, Sheepfu on Greymane, DSB Smiley on Stukov, and JTR on Dahaka. I think it's Searmaka? We're going to go Searmaka. I had like a little bit of like a panic at the start of this, at this loading screen. I was like, wait, I didn't change my region back to like preferred. I think I've just left it on central constantly. But it's just sometimes when you load in a little bit slow, there's like that really quick panic, but it looks like I'll double check as we go in, and I will unfortunately show stream things. I apologize, but I just want to double check this, make sure that these teams get the best game they can possibly get. Yeah, okay. So we're on Central. We are all set. We're going to go into this. I just do not have... well, if we get to that point, we'll deal with it. I forgot to set myself as referee, so I do not have unpause powers. But we'll see how this goes. I mean, I have direct lines to most of the teams here through Discord as well as the Battle.net app, so we should be fine.
Systems online. 10 seconds.
So let's see here. So we're going to have Stukov going into the Fetid Touch. Interesting, okay. Usually we see the expanded zone. Gul'dan will be going to Fell Flame. That's not surprising. Honestly, the majority of this draft here doesn't look, or first level talents don't look too out of the ordinary. But we do have this technical 4-man in the bottom lane currently, and it looks like they're gonna go ahead and kind of hold off into this bush area. They're going to go ahead and rotate down. At this point, Zagara is going to be able to kind of push herself out a little bit here with the 5-man currently rotating into bottom lane. You have Dahaka just trying to go in for a little bit of a flank there. It does not yield them anything. Unfortunately, they just started to back off the moment they saw the enemy team rotating into lane here. Looks like they will get Bubble This. Will power slide out. They do get the tongue from JTR onto Bubble This. They get the knockback, and it looks like they will get the kill onto Bubble This. First blood going over to Misplaced Ults. And really quickly, we'll just go ahead and check in the top lane. We have JTR versus Sierras here, so this is going to be a pretty even matchup. Over time, I think Sierra should kind of win that over on Dahaka. But in the beginning of the game, I do know that Zagara tends to be quite the bully in lane. But Dahaka being able to clear out the creep quite quickly, so it's definitely something that they're going to need to worry about as this game progresses. Does not look like there is much that they're going to be doing here besides waiting for this first beacon phase, which should be starting any second here. I believe it's another 5 seconds until it starts out. In top lane, we're going to have just still that same kind of stalemate. Zagara kind of winning this over a little bit. There is that 5-second mark where we do have the beacon starting out. Linkin Park trying to get that stun, but unfortunately not connecting here. The dude just kind of going back and forth in this vision. We're going to pull away this bar down here for just a second while we see if we could potentially have a fight. Sierra's grabbing that top watchtower, but JTR will probably be giving him quite a problem up there. Actually, looks like Sierra's just on the minimap is chasing him away. Linkin Park able to go ahead and capture this over, so they're going to have 50% on either side, or at least capture-wise. You know, each team will hold one. Bubble This will go on to the point for a quick second. Pull out a few abilities, actually, from a few of the members there. But at this point, it looks like in the bottom lane, they're just kind of waiting off till they get 4s, and then once maybe they have that talent, you know, that talent in their bank they can aggress onto this a little bit harder. Top lane will be going over to JTR. Yeah, we'll be grabbing this, and it looks like we're going to have the rest of the team currently jumping onto this point. Huge amount of damage going out to Linkin Park. The knockback from the ETC will push him off the point. They will start to capture this over, and it will stop the charge at 44% for Misplaced Ults. But they stacked all their bodies on top of that, and they still managed to hold that over. It's quite interesting, actually. Technically, there is one more body on the side of Misplaced Ults, but with Gall doing that damage constantly, and Cho just sitting there slapping with his hand, it's definitely a lot of damage going out. Now, we do have them going back and forth over this point. DSP Smiley will be getting that zoning with the lurking arm. Now, we do have a little bit of a fight here between Linkin Park and Hexgaba. I'll figure it out one day. But we're just going to go with Hexba. Got to kind of throw in that D, sorta. But we do have another zone from DSP Smiley, but a lot of damage is going on to Linkin Park. He will be displaced from his team. He is falling quite low. The Dread Orb will not connect, unfortunately. They won't be able to get that last little blow up onto him, but at the same time, 4s are achieved for both teams. Looking at some of the numbers here, we actually have Envenom Spines. That's interesting. Typically, we see the Medusa Blaze. Oh, so much damage going out into that Gul'dan. Gall able to collect the last little bit of health that he had left, and Rexville, I think, will be getting that kill. Now, we do currently have Sierras will be grabbing this point with really low health, but it looks like they push back the Dahaka hard enough that they can go ahead and just kind of grab that. Now, since the Zerg wave is in this bottom, we definitely see Alaska pushing into this a little bit hard. They're going to wait for the minion wave. They don't want to take unnecessary damage, especially with the rest of the team coming back full into them. They can kind of work down this minion wave a little bit, speed it up for themselves. They're going to be able to do that very efficiently here. But the rest of the team is back at this point. Samaka able to clear out the enemy minion wave just as fast, so they can kind of push this back to the midpoint. This is extremely good on the side of Misplaced Ults. They do have a little bit of advantage because they are a little bit higher in health, but Cho'Gall coming to this backline, dealing so much damage, they start to have to retreat. And unfortunately, their positioning behind this wall did not aid them here. Cho'Gall being able to wrap himself around with that charging fist. Take a peek into... Actually, I was going to say we're going to take a peek into top lane, but never mind. We'll just stay down here because this beacon phase is still not going to be ending. Sevens are really close on the side of Misplaced. Also, look to see them try and take advantage of that as quickly as possible. Huge power slide from Bubble This, and they actually get the kill onto the Gul'dan, and that puts them closer to 7. Now, at the same time, Misplaced Ults, they did just get 7. Linkin Park is trying to go into the Cho'Gall here, but will not be able to get enough damage out, and he actually starts to turn back around with Rhaegar healing. They actually start to turn on the Linkin Park. DSP Smiley trying to get that health out onto him, and he will be able to get out of here with just about under 400 health, but they will be holding over this bottom lane. Now, peeking into the top here, we do have Zagara just pushing into JTR. Sierra's just kind of getting evenly matched here, but back into bottom lane, we do have a little bit of posturing around this point. And with that Dread Orb, they will be able to get a little bit of damage out onto this gate, and they're going to try and work this down as they potentially get the Zerg wave here. Now, it is only at 26% versus the 58 of Misplaced Ults. It's currently in the favor of them, but you never know who ends up charging the last little bit here. We actually see the Gul'dan and the Dahaka prioritized in the top lane, so I wouldn't be too surprised to see an aggressive push here from the 3 members in the bottom lane, now that the Gul'dan has to make this long rotation. And they go ahead and do that exactly. But they start to back off here because they don't see him in top anymore, so I assume they know he's making this rotation down. And they're just posturing up, slowly poking down this gate. It looks like there is actually the power sliding from Bubble This onto Linkin Park once again, but unfortunately they will not be able to confirm the kill here. Just the healing is coming up from DSP Smiley, but he is taking a lot of that backline damage thrown out from the Cho'Gall here, and they're gonna actually have really quickly. I'm gonna peek at top every so often just to see what's going on over there, but it looks like we have a little bit more of an engagement currently happening, just this back and forth constantly. A lot of just the one thing I want to note here, a lot of really good mana management from both these teams as they go down here and get this orb. But at the same time, I'm just saying I haven't seen a lot of them go back to tap well, or we did see that one full return, but Bubble is actually 1v4ing here extremely well, not dying. Sir Maka will be able to get the heal off of Cho'Gall, giving him back to half health, but he will be using that health just to get himself back to have a little bit more mana, so he can get those spells out. And this is just quite the back and forth. A lot of posturing at this point. There's not. Everyone seems to be kind of playing respectfully. There's no one really kind of like forcing face into the other team, or it's a lot of the slow play currently, which is very interesting to me. Both of these teams, there's like an aggressiveness in their fights, but it hasn't come out yet. And I'm wondering if once 10 hits, is that where we're going to see this complete change? Because honestly, we still haven't even had one Zerg wave yet. We've had 9.5 levels in 8 minutes, and we still have both teams just holding out with 26% and 58% on these Zergs for the first charge. Now, we do have the Greymane rotated up here, potentially going on to Sierra's here for a gank. There is the tongue off from Dahaka. Currently running out, potentially able to get the kill, but is the cocktail. There it is. I was like, wait, Sierra's got away. Good for, oh, there's the cocktail through the gate. It's almost in every highlight reel, so it's like in the back of my mind, I was like, but the cocktail, no, he hasn't used it yet. Either way, they do get that kill. It pushes them over towards 10s. The curse bullet is there. It's actually the massive shove from the Stukov. We have the isolation from the Dahaka, who actually burrows into the bottom lane here. JTR getting to his back line, pulling the ETC out. There's no power slide because the silence and the body blocking. Oh, poor cow man. He will be falling here without having the power slide out. That was an amazing, just the posturing there from Misplaced Ults is extremely good. They actually start to dive on into Sir Maka, trying to get this kill. Twisting Nether is used. They actually get him as the Stukov pushes them out with the massive shove. They get the charge actually back over. 96% is on the side of Misplaced Ults. So this is going to be, at this point, it's just going to be a really strong push for Misplaced Ults if they end up just getting this over. But if Alaska can get this over themselves, they definitely... No, do we have Sierra's falling here? We do, just currently running around, and unfortunately, he will not be able to get away in time. So that will be top held over by the Dahaka. And at this point, they're just... Both teams are doing phenomenal laning jobs. I mean, Dahaka is just working down this lane. He is slowly getting some of these shots out of these towers, but at the same time, Alaska is doing a phenomenal job of just pushing in with this Cho'Gall poke damage into the gate. They've already taken that out. And if even with their 34% Zerg wave, this will be, you know, a decent push that will have to be defended by at least one or two members. Now, the Dahaka is currently coming in for a flank. We do have the isolation is there. The cleanses automatically came out. Huge mosh pit that was automatically cleared by the fear. The Ancestral does not connect. Unfortunately, Bubbledust will be falling here. The Cho'Gall falling extremely low. There is the pull onto him, and they will be falling here. Now, it looks like Misplaced Ults will be getting this first Zerg wave, and it's only going to be in the top lane. So they're going to split their team currently and go ahead and have them push into the bottom as a 4-man. Vern here just to kind of slow them down a little bit, as well as their own Zerg wave will slow them from pushing too hard. But it looks like they're going to start aggressing onto this. Now, in top lane, we do have Sierras up against JTR. We'll be able to kind of slow this down, but I believe the gate and maybe a little bit of the fort will be falling here. It looks like we have a Cho'Gall rotating up, potentially for a flank? No, he's just going to be going straight in. So with that, at the same time, we do currently have two members in the bottom lane just defending this, and they're just kind of... They really can't do anything to this 4-man. Now, that's the unfortunate part about it. They also do have 13s on the side of... Shoot back and forth for the game. Exactly. But at this point... Ooh. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Evasive Flask. Okay, but at this point we will have the Zerg wave cleared out by the Cho'Gall and Zagara here. Now at this point there is actually a lot of aggressive posturing on the side of Misplaced Ults, but they do technically have the level and a half to 2 level advantage here. So they kind of can be a little aggressive with this talent tier that they have. Cho'Gall looks like he will be aggressing that camp, but I think they actually scout this out. And they rotate out of here before the rest of the team can catch them. It looks like they're going to go ahead and get their own camp here. Meanwhile, this hard camp will be picked up on the side of Misplaced Ults. So they will go ahead and get the push in both lanes. The bottom's already going to be cleared out by the Rhaegar ETC. It looks like they were posturing up for a potential gank if there was an aggressive rotation onto this camp, but it did not happen. They go ahead and collect 3 out of the 4 camps. Let Alaska have the other one, and they're going to go ahead and looks like posture up into this top lane. Rhaegar is down there by himself, so there is no ancestral healing. But at the same time, the one thing that we should note here is that 13s were achieved on the side of Alaska, so it is even talent tiers, but it's a level and a half difference still. They're going to be slowly chunking that down. They're definitely doing that by... Now, they've rotated their Zagar into the bottom lane, as well as Misplaced also has rotated their Dahaka down there. So as this game is progressing, the stacking from quite a few of these members is going to start really becoming a nuisance as this game goes on further and further. Now, one of the things, I mean, the Gul'dan Flame, that has been finished, so that is definitely, you know, getting that extra damage out there is not going to be something you want to deal with on the side of Alaska. Looks like Stukov is about halfway through his level 1 talent. Look to see that kind of explode as the game progresses here. And it looks like at this point, Zagar has been pushed back to the gate. Sierra's having to clear out this this camp pushing into the lane. But the tower does not take too much damage. They actually posture up onto this right away. So we currently have both of the beacons actually being held over for both teams. A huge fear out from the Gul'dan, and they actually get the kill onto Bubble. This looks like there will be a full retreat from the Cho'Gall here. Vern not able to really get near his main tank, main damage dealer. I'm not sure which you go for at that point. But it looks like they're actually going to go ahead and aggressively take this fort while they go ahead. Ooh, there is the charge in with the Twisting Nether. They actually connected onto the Gul'dan. A few of the members in this backline, the Cleanse is out. They actually get the knockback. The Ancestral Healing is there right away. They actually get the kill onto the Arthas here, and they start to chase down a few of these members. Dahaka has rotated up here at this point as well. Now this is a 4v... Well, it's a 4v4 technically. It's really how you want to split the hairs on this. Actually, Gul'dan trying to get one more Fell Flame out. Actually getting a couple Corruption stacks. There's the ward out from the Cho'Gall. The Massive Shove does not connect. The Dahaka is actually going to be rotating into the bottom lane, and they start to chase down a few of these members, it looks like. Dread Orb going out, but it does not look like it will connect. Now, in bottom lane, we do have a little bit of a fight here. This is Zerg versus Zerg, but it looks like they will... The Dahaka won't be getting killed by the Hydralisk, but currently Bubble this is going to be able to see this because there is the vision from Zagar. The Flask will go ahead and clear out the majority of that vision. They trade this over into the bottom lane, but at the same time, Cho'Gall and Vern, I guess we'll say Hedgie and Rexpa and Vern rotate into this top lane. They're going to go ahead and clear out this fort, and this is going to be really beneficial for their Zerg wave. It's at 50% right now, and you know it's pretty close on the side of Misplaced Ult. Really depends on who gets the next bit of charge, but currently Arthas out here by himself. Bubble this will rotate up, but they go ahead and choose not to go for that fight. While the rest of the team is rotating up quite aggressively. They actually get the... They get the clear onto that eye, and it looked like Bubble this was going on to the point, but then you just see that instant turn of him just seeing like, oh, they're at that watchtower. We currently have Sierras rotating down there, going and canceling out. They do work their way up to 64% at this point, and they're going to go ahead and swap out and clear out this top lane fort. And it looks like the 5-man of Alaska will see the entire team up there, and they're going to go ahead and start to aggress onto this. Now the real question is, are they going to work? They're going to go for a keep here. This is interesting. So they're currently rotating Vern back with ETC and Cho'Gall, and they get this entire gate, and they rotate away in time. Now they are going through the Zagar vision. Actually, oh, Dahaka will get the burrow currently. We'll go into that bottom lane. Probably will go for the capture on this point, so they're going to go ahead and rotate onto this because of the fact that they have the majority of their team members there. There's actually the Horrify burned way too early. The Massive Shove from the Stukov will go ahead and push them back. They're going to go ahead and confirm this point, so they get a little bit of charge on the side of Misplaced Ults. Looks like they're currently going to keep chasing this fight, though. Alaska actually going to back off at this point. Wouldn't be too surprised to see Sierras going ahead and rotate into that bottom lane. We currently have JTR in this bush. He doesn't want to move. The rest of his team is quite close by. Question is, what are they going to be doing here with these fight? They don't have the Horrify currently. Mosh Pit is up. This is one thing that we need to note here, but there is no Twisting Nether, and I'm assuming that it's going to be a combination run together. So definitely look to see them kind of wait on that. And it looks like Misplaced Ults, they're going to go ahead and grab this camp, and actually they'll be able to push out this bottom lane a little bit with that, and that should help for the potential Zerg that will be coming soon. It really just depends on who goes and gets this last... It actually, realistically, depends on who ends up getting the next fight, because that will kind of sway over who can hold both points. Because at this point in the game, the majority of the teams are rotating around as a 5-stack, and actually they get the isolation onto the Gul'dan. They get The slide in. Is there going to be a knockback? The cleanse is there from Rhaegar. They're chasing extremely deep. They get the kill onto Gul'dan. The mosh pit is out, but I do not believe it connected onto any other members besides the Gul'dan, maybe. Dahaka uses Burrowing Claws. JTR currently actually going to get the isolation onto Bubble this, but Cho'Gall is in that backline with a Twisting Nether onto DSB Smiley, taking so much damage. The Massive Shove will save him at this point, though, so they only lose their Gul'dan, but at the same time, Zagara has snuck down into that bottom lane, will be getting this point and also getting the clear onto this. Meanwhile, since the Zerg wave will be pushing to this top, they go ahead and say, all right, well, we got you, Gul'dan. You looks like you're going to be posturing away from us. We'll go ahead and clear the top lane, or push up this top lane just like you pushed up ours. But at this point, they will have to dedicate someone to that bottom lane. I don't know if it's a game-ending push down there, but it definitely is enough to... you could be losing a keep here, but they're current... Okay, so it looks like Sierras will be going back to go ahead and clear that. And we currently just have the rest of Alaska posturing up at this point. I'm just like waiting with bated breath at this. So they get the keep before the Zerg wave actually gets here. So they still have the 2 Ultralisks and the 3 Guardians with them in a minion wave as well. Now at this point, just really quickly, we're going to jump down here. We're going to see that Zagara has cleaned up the majority of this, and I wouldn't be too surprised to see Zagara rotating up into the team. Okay, no, they're going to go ahead and disengage completely. Okay. The one thing I was wondering, I was like, are they going to, you know, potentially go for a game-ending push? But they do have the Gul'dan at this back at this point. The 5-man is there, and it looks like Zagara had to back and potentially these Guardians are going to get this free keep. Oh, okay. He did have to go back. Okay, he went back, I think, for healing and mana or something. But at this point, there will be the scout out from Cho'Gall. That is also the end of the Zerg wave, so we've got about, I think, a minute 30, so we should be seeing the next one around 21 minutes here. This is getting into a little bit late for Brax's Holdout, and Brax's Holdout is one of those games that as you progress, everything scales. So these Zerg waves, you know, even if you get a 50%, it still potentially could be game-ending, depending at what point of the game we're actually in. So 21 minutes just for the start of it, then you have to capture all the points and everything. We've been, you know, we've only had 2 Zerg waves so far in 20 minutes, and we're almost averaging a Zerg wave every 10 minutes. So at this point, we can assume the next Zerg wave is about 30 minutes in game time. But no, at this point, this is the point of the game where a fight can pretty much just change the entire pace, as well as even just win the game. The death timers are getting quite long at this point. We do see this camp getting pushed up here with the catapult as well, or I guess we can call it. I actually don't know the StarCraft unit for that, but we'll just say catapult. They're going to go ahead, and it looks like Alaska will pressure up this bottom lane while they see the rest of the team, or at least the majority of the team, in this top lane clearing this camp. They get that little bit of extra experience that pushes them closer. But at this point, this is the worst part of the game to be like. You're just waiting for the objective. You can't do boss. The lanes are pushed up. You don't want to go too far. Actually, it looks like they're going to posture up into this range of this keep. We do have Arthas rotating down. The rest of the team looks like they are falling onto this point. And they are just trying to kind of whittle down this gate a little bit, it looks like, on the side of Alaska, trying to prepare for the potential push they will get from the next Zerg wave here. They actually get one of the towers during that entire time. And the range on this orb. Currently, Zagara is going to be probably, I would assume Zagara is going to rotate into the top. They do scout this out. They know that they're here. Mosh Pit is available. Horrify is as well. There's a huge Horrify and a few of the members, but there's the cleanse out. They actually get this camp overall from the team. The Ancestral does not connect onto Bubble this at the last second. Sierras is taking quite a bit of damage from the Dahaka. He actually will end up falling here himself. And the Cho'Gall will potentially be falling here. The boss is triggered. Dahaka is actually going to be rotating up right ahead. The bomb does explode and actually provides a little bit of silence. The hammer actually gets out 600 health, but this is probably going to be the entire Zerg wave going over. No, they're going to go ahead and try and end the game here. Now, the thing that we have to note at the same time is there are 3 catapults on their core. Dahaka went ahead and started the channel. They destroy the keep. This is the most interesting part. So we get the silence onto, I think, 2 of the members here. They are starting to whittle down the shields here, but at the same time, their shields are starting to fall a little bit themselves. Cho'Gall coming around this bend. Unfortunately, I do not think they will be able to hold this over. This looks like it's going to be the core falling, and Misplaced Ults will be taking the first game here. GG, well played. All right, we're going to take a quick peek at some of the talents there. Ooh, I apologize. Try not drink anything while I'm streaming because you can't. But just overall, I mean, Gall with 167,000. I mean, just hero damage in comparison. It's Cho'Gall is really powerful, but that camp call at the end, that Horrify completely swung it around. The Ancestral just not connecting at the last second. I didn't see, but maybe there was a lurking arm out, and it definitely that's the Stukov in that game was pretty good. The silences that came out were on point, and it really just it kind of locked them down. And the other thing that we need to note here is the healing that came out of DSB Smiley. That is a whole buttload of healing. Now, granted, he was in that 4-stack the entire time as Pustule's bouncing and such. But either way, I mean, that's still phenomenal play out of both teams. But Misplaced Ults will be taking the first game here. So, meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and set up the lobby for the next game here. Okay. Go ahead and make myself observer. I will set myself to referee this time. Tournament draft. That. Okay. Let's do a lobby link again. Okay. All right, so we should be seeing them pop in here. I need to update one last thing, and then I can pay attention to my beautiful, beautiful Twitch chat, who I have been so rudely ignoring. There we go. Okay, everything looks like it's set up for the next game. Oh, Kozer88, thank you so much for the follow afterwards. Thank you for after that game. Really appreciate it. I put that in the Rock Chat channel. I was like, why is no one joining this? Because I put it in the other one that Misplaced Ults versus. Yeah, I put it in the charity one that I'm doing stuff with, and the last time I did that, someone was just like, "What are you doing?" Oops, I apologize. Yeah, but hi to everybody in Twitch chat. How are you guys doing tonight? Thanks for swinging by. Really appreciate it. All right, we are getting the teams in here ever so slowly, but that's not a problem. We have Twitch chat. We have great music from Blizzard itself. That's going to be playing in the background. We almost have all of one of the teams. There we go. So I can assign the banner. What? What a good game last. Oh, they're just. I was completely reading that wrong, and I'm like, I was just like, what are they typing? All right, but let's see here. We're just waiting on one member to get in, and then we will get going on this second game this evening. Okay. We're just waiting for the ready from one team. But also thank you, Kozer and Dragoon, for following. Really appreciate it. All right, we have the ready. Go ahead and hit that, and we are going into Infernal Shrines. So once again, we have Alaska on the left and Misplaced Ults on the right. Up one game here. Winning over on Braxis Holdout. I am Bahamut, your caster. Welcome back to the games. Let's see what we're going to get in this last game draft. Okay, so blue... We do... Okay, so I did set that up right. I was like, left side should ban first. Okay. Ban-wise. Infernal Shrines. I don't know if it's first ban-worthy, but that Stukov was just annoying. As well as that Gul'dan, which I'm not sure if maybe that's a... I'm not going to say... It, like, crutch isn't the right word, but I'm just going to use that. No, we're actually going to see the Tassadar hover here. Tassadar being extremely powerful on this map. Enabling auto-attackers such as Vala, Lunara, Greymane. He's just an absolutely wonderful, wonderful hero to have. He's very good on the shrines for the AoE clear that he has. The lane clear he has is very good. Force walls are extremely powerful, so the overall just ban on him is just a smart move on the side of Alaska. But at the same time, the one thing I was just going to note, crutch isn't the right word, but that's what we're going to just use here. They first picked that Gul'dan really quickly, and it was an asset to their team. Now, granted, it was I wouldn't say map-specific asset, but it definitely is something that I think they prioritize, because usually you can wait a little bit for a Gul'dan pick. You don't have to lock your mage in first slot. But we'll see here on the side of Alaska what they're going to be taking here for their first pick. Infernal Shrines. Just trying to think of, like, what's a good kind of lock-in first. I mean, there's a lot of standards. You typically see things like Uther prioritized. Actually, we're going to see the ETC prioritized here. So first pick, ETC. They're going to go into the Greymane. Okay. And so the Greymane's extremely powerful. Well, one, we saw in the last game. This is a very close draft to what they had last time. Now, granted, and I'm not saying like, oh, you know, these are their core heroes. This is all they play, and if you want to play against them, just ban these things out. No. These heroes are phenomenal on this map. Greymane extremely good on the shrine for clear. He's good in the solo lane. Typically, he's not going to be there because the fact that they drafted that Dahaka for that global threat. But at the same time, post 10, ETC can take the stage dive, which will lend to kind of countering Dahaka a little bit. It really just depends on if they go into the mosh pit. That's just the big question of the day. So at this point, though, what do you take in this 2-3 slot? You don't really want to tell your opponent what you're going to be drafting here. So taking something in the healer slot and maybe the assassin or shrine clear might be the priority in the situation. So something like a Stukov, in my opinion, is great on this map. And if they prioritize it here in this 2-3 slot, it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. And then maybe some shrine clear or at least some burst damage. So like a Vala with that as well. Oh, they're going to go into the Falstead. Okay. I like the global threat that does counter the Dahaka. So they're probably going to utilize Falstead in the solo lane here. At least for now, based on the draft. I'm just all like excited about this next game. That first game was just so back and forth, and just amazing plays from both teams. It was an amazing game to cast, and I'm very lucky and fortunate. And thank you guys once again, and thanks to NGS for giving me the platform to do this. I love showcasing, you know, amateur heroes, so that way they can, you know, showcase their talents, and, you know, people want to feel like they're on the big screen. So, and I just like casting. I'm not the best player in the world. I'm not some grandmaster, master, diamond, platinum player. I'll play in my lower leagues and I'll get salty with everyone else. But at this point, looking at the draft, they're gonna actually ban out the Chromie here. There is the potential threat for it. I can see how they'd be worried about that. But I don't know if that's what they're going to be going for here. There is the hover ban. Nope, they're going to go straight into the Rhaegar here. It's a really good choice. Now, the question is, do they want to deal with the Ancestral or do they want to deal with the Divine Shield? And because that's a really big toss-up. Ariel, yeah, you can take her, and I wouldn't be too surprised if they went into her at this point. Actually, you know what? Malfurion's pretty powerful too, and they could run a Stitches with that also. There's no cleanse on the side of Alaska at this point, so I wonder. Anubarak, interesting. The web wrap, okay. I mean, it's a good isolation tool for against any healer, especially in any solo healer, solo tank composition. The web wrap is extremely powerful. So I wonder if that kind of pushes Alaska in any sort of direction to maybe run, you know, an off tank or an off healer here. Now, if they do go into that secondary tank, I personally would love to see a Tyrael here. I think Tyrael is powerful on this map. He has really good shrine control. And then in the late game, he's just a nuisance to deal with. But even then, Diablo's an option too. Diablo is extremely strong. I saw on Reddit, like, I think I was like scrolling through this morning, like, there was someone saying that Diablo needs like a luchador costume, and he should suplex people, and instead for the overpower. And I was like, that is absolutely perfect. Like, here's the dorm 2018. Give me baseball Leoric, hockey Arthas, or luchador Diablo. Like, I just give me luchador Diablo. I don't even care. It doesn't even have to be event specific. Just give it to me. I absolutely love that. But this last pickup here, and also on the side of Alaska, they went into the Li Ming Sonya. So we're gonna have the Sonya in that solo lane up against the Dahaka, and we're gonna have Li Ming with the 4-man rotation. And there's gonna be a lot of poke damage. And also the other thing to note here is they got a couple squishy people on their side, and they're gonna be going into a healer, which won't be the highest health pool on Earth either. So Li Ming getting a couple of resets could be the snowball effect that Alaska, you know, wants in this game. And at the same time, though, there's a lot of just blow-up damage on the side of Misplaced Ults. I mean,
this is my jam.
It's going to be Lucio. That's going to be tough to deal with, honestly. That's a hard... I mean, the AoE healing from is going to be a lot to deal with. The speed bonus, if they are going for a chase, is going to be difficult. The sound barrier at 10 is going to be an asset that they're not going to want to deal with on the side of Alaska. Then again, though... The thing we have to note is he can't switch modes or speed himself up is if he is silenced. This is gonna be this matchup. These are gonna be some good games. All right, on the left-hand side, we have Alaska with Varen on Stukov, Hedgie on Falstead, Sierras on Sonya, Bubble This on ATC, and Rexpa on Li Ming. On the right-hand side, we have Misplaced Ults with JTR on Dahaka, Surmaka on Kael'thas, Lincoln Park on Anubarak, DSB Smiley on Lucio, and Sheepfu on Greymane. All right, we are going to be loading into our final matchup this evening, and the one thing I want to note here really quickly, before we just kind of get too far, I have a few seconds. I'm going to double check the caster calendar, and I just want to see if there's going to be anyone casting after we are finished. That way we can just throw you to another caster, and the games never end. Mine started at about that time. Okay. All right, we will take a peek and see who is available after. We actually have the Sonya currently going into that top lane right away here. Nothing too out of the ordinary. We actually have convection stacks from Falstead. That's interesting. Very interesting. I forgot to zoom out there. But at this point, with a few of the members not showing currently, they're just kind of throwing out some abilities, getting some poke damage into the Fog of War. Not face-checking bushes here. Sonya playing extremely safe till she saw the majority of the team in that bottom lane. Li Ming, Rexpa definitely working out some of the Nubarian armor that is on the side of Lincoln Park here. and just constantly whittling that away puts it on, recharge, so you're never really getting any value from it because the fact that it's always down because she's just been poking you. And the one thing I was curious, are we going to have rotations? It does look like we do. Okay. I was wondering if we're going to have rotations out from the teams here between the top and mid, and we just leave the solo laners in top, and it looks like it's going to be that case pretty much. Rexpa getting a decent amount of damage out into DSP Smiley there, and that's a hard target to hit. I have to say kudos to Rexpa because I could not as a Li Ming hit magic missiles on a speeding by DSP Smiley. So once again, we have this mid lane rotation, and the teams are going to pretty much do this for the next 15 or so seconds because the next altar will arise right around then. So we're just going to kind of peek around the map, just see what these teams are up to. It looks like Sierra's kind of doing the exact same thing as Dahaka, just kind of waiting in the bush. They are doing this really interesting tango. We're actually going to have the first Punisher into the bottom lane. Bubble this taking quite a bit of damage, but he will be able to get the power slide out. And this will be the start of this first shrine, as well as the camps popping up around it. Currently have a decent amount of poke damage going in from Rexpa, and that's exactly what Li Ming was kind of drafted here for. They're going to be able to kind of poke these out. Bubble this is going to power slide in a huge, just that lurking arm from Vern, just making sure that they can't get any sort of abilities out onto ETC while he just kind of slid in there. I was just like, yo, this shrine's mine. What's up, dudes? At this point, they do have the majority of their team currently just postured up in this lane. Dahaka actually did utilize Burrow at this point to come down to the team. JTR will get the tongue out on Stukov. Vern falling extremely low, and that will be the first kill going over to... Excuse me, the first two kills going over to Misplaced Ults. Falstead looks like he is going to be going ahead and flying up into that top lane, working on more of those stacks. Do have the rest of the team currently just behind this gate. Oh, the rest, Rexpa and Bubble This behind the gate, seeing when they can just pull this Punisher over the wall, guide him towards the tower in the fort over here. I'm actually going to pull him more towards the well, so unfortunately I think the Punisher will... Okay, so it's just going to prioritize the fort. Usually if you pull it over this way, it will prioritize the well, so typically you want to pull him over between these two towers because of the fact that it'll shoot him from both of them, and it just burns it down a little bit quicker. It's just the little things because now at this point, Misplaced Ults, they have been able to take advantage of that because there isn't just that extra damage shooting out onto the Punisher. They went ahead and got the fort. And I'm not saying like if you do it this way, you know this is how it goes. I'm just saying that this is the case in this situation is exactly that. We currently have Falsta going up against Dahaka in the top lane, where we have the Sonya rotated down into the 4-man currently. JTR changing up opponents against him. It looks like, I don't know, seems a little baffled. He's currently rotating out of the lane. He's like, I guess this isn't the solo lane anymore. Where's Sonya? That's my matchup. And I believe actually JTR was going ahead and checking out this camp over here. At this point, we will just have Hedgie just kind of flying in circles. We actually have an invade from DSP Smiley. He actually gets power slid on, but there is no follow-up from any of the members. Unfortunately, they just stay onto this camp and they make sure that they pick this up. The one thing we have not pulled up in quite some time are the talents, as well as some of these questing talents too that they got at level 1. I mean, we're starting to burn through a few of these, but the one thing I want to note here, Kael'thas is still only at 7 convection stacks, so I'm curious to see if he's able to get those at the last second. We do have JTR timing out this camp a little bit here, but it is 145 after the Punisher dies, so it's definitely something to take into your quick match. When you see the Punisher die, go ahead and check that in-game clock, and you will know exactly when the next shrine should be popping up. Now, where? That's randomized, and that's up to you. But at this point, we do have about a level difference between the teams. JTR actually currently burrowing in, going in on the Sonya, it looks like. Actually getting the tongue onto one of the dogs. Rexpa actually will be coming through this way as well. Vern following pace as well. Looks like they're going to go ahead and try and get this chase onto JTR, but the majority of the team is responding at this point. Able to kind of just unleash this camp, and it gets back up to full, and it buys them a little bit of time. So Sierra's having to go back and currently work on this camp a little bit more. Hedgie in that top lane, making sure that this camp doesn't get too much value pushing into this gate. It does get one of the towers, it looks like, or at least the gate is currently out of ammunition. But at this point, they do... This is a very interesting point in the game. the way they were rotating, I was like, what are they about to do? But there's definitely about like an eighth of a level on the side of Misplaced Ults, and they are definitely pushing quite hard with this. The Greymane getting that cocktail out, confirming the gate, so they don't have anything to kind of bait the Punisher over for a jump. Now the 10s have been achieved on the side of Misplaced Ults, and they're actually pushing up this bottom lane as well, so they're going to go ahead and it's going to start working on this gate. Now that's not going to take it out or anything, but they're going to go ahead, and it looks like they're giving over this Punisher for now, rotating into a few of the lanes, potentially even getting a kill onto JT. He will be able to get away, and they're going to start to burn down this mid lane gate, and I think this is in the expectation that the next altar will be in mid, so they're going to go ahead and try and work this down. Dahaka getting the tongue on to Cirrus here, but unfortunately there is no follow-up damage, and they will be able to kind of burn this down. It just kind of delays them for a little bit here. And they go ahead and confirm that. Now there is the rotation from the ETC as well. And they go ahead and they start to just push into this top. And they go, all right, well, if you take our mid, we'll take your top. And they say, actually, you know what? If you take our top, we'll take your mid. And this back and forth, this is interesting. This is a lot of like just passive play between these teams where they're just pushing into lanes. Falstad currently in bottom lane. There's actually a lot more value currently on the side of Alaska because they are kind of pushing. They're double soaking currently, obviously. Now they're going to get this gate kind of sort of in bottom. They do get the fort in the mid lane, so if the next Punisher is there and they do capitalize on that, it will be pushing on to a keep front gate just like this one. The Nubrak burrowing forward. They are going to try and burst this down just a little bit. The Phoenix actually going out for a little bit of zoning here. Might have been a little bit early though, unfortunately, because it should burn down quite quickly. Now, there's a huge jump from the Punisher onto Rexley, taking a significant amount of damage with 18 health, able to get out the last second. That Punisher. Wow. We do have a breakdown actually coming up from DSP Smiley. There is a huge dive onto Sonya. She will be falling here. A disengage from Falstad at this point. The Gust is going to push the team back, and they will save their keep for now. Meanwhile, mid and bottom have been pushed in quite a bit, so they're going to need to worry about that quite soon. Dahaka's probably going to have to utilize his burrow. This Archer wave is going to start stacking up quite quickly. Mid is actually is going to probably go over in favor, but they are doing this little bit of bush parties, so you have to be quiet during bush parties. You don't want to be too loud. And Falstad potentially getting caught out here. There is no Gust, but the rest of the team is chasing. They just turn around at this point, though. They don't go any further. The rest of the team has responded. There's actually an orb out from Li Ming, which Dahaka burrows back on top. There's a huge power slide out from ETC. JTR is getting isolated away from his team, but there's a double whirlwind from the Kale Toss onto Bubbledus and Sierras, but there is the beam from Rexpa. It does not connect onto any of the members, and they are able to get the Dahaka burrowing into the bottom lane. He will pop out down there and able to just start working on this lane. Does he have... Okay, he has the wall. I was like, that minion wave might take him out if he's not careful. But we currently have, in the mid lane, we currently just have this 5-man doing... Or excuse me, 4-man. We are going to have the Falstad break off from the team, rotating to that top. Work on getting a few more stacks. Linkin Park will kind of see this, but they're going to go ahead and get him back. Now, Samaka getting a little bit of damage in here. He is at 11 stacks, but he is going to get moshed. And actually, the Dahaka's going to get moshed as well. Doing my favorite dance. The beam does go out. They get the break it down on top of JTR. He is able to get out. And JTR has lived like 3 times during this game. I can't believe it. That's the 3rd time he's gotten away with like the same amount of health. I cannot believe it. Just barely. I mean, that break it down came perfect time because I think it would have spelled his demise as well. That Mosh, he was the next target. But at the same time, the one thing we do need to note here is that Misplaced Ults, they still are technically up in level and talent tier. Now, it isn't much, and it looks like Sonya should be able to clear out the level differential. Here, we do have Hedgie rotating into the rest of the team. Rexpa and Bubble this currently working on this camp, zoning out a little bit, but Sir Maka is back at this point with 0 stacks. He does have to burn right back through those, though we do have JTR coming in. There's the web wrap onto the false. I think it got burned out right away by the Li Ming. We do have the cocktail actually being finished here with that last one onto quite a few members, but they currently hold over this shrine. Now 13s are like a minion or 2 on the side of Alaska, so we will have even talent tiers for this fight, even levels as well. Now it looks like they're going to be going ahead and begin the knockback from Bubble this onto the Anubrak. They are starting to... Okay, so look, it's just a lot of these teams are just posturing around the edge. Cocktail goes out, it does not connect onto any of the members. Falstad gonna fly forward, the gust into the back line. They go right onto Sarmaka. He will be dying here. There's a huge zone, but unfortunately, Rex will fall, getting out with 100 health. I was just about to say he's gonna fall because I thought that was a definite kill. Sierra's getting extremely low here. Does have the mythical spear to get out? Break it down is used by Lucio, but unfortunately, it is just a shield. It will dissipate over time here. And I think it was just a panic. That's a panic break it down, and unfortunately, this is worst case scenario for Misplaced. I mean, not worst case, but you know what I mean. This is the lane that they had burned down the fort for in the last Punisher push. And this is what I was saying. If the next Punisher is in mid and they do get it, and it's also, mind you, it's an arcane Punisher. So they ETC also finishing proc arc at this time. So this is going to be a pretty powerful push on the side of Alaska. They're going to take out the sidewall. Looks like they're going to rotate right through there. There is the zoning fetid, not fetid touch, but lurking arm. That looks like there is going to be just the Punisher falling low here, and they're going to go ahead, clear out the gate, and back off right away. They're not going to take any sort of over-aggressive fight here, it looks like. Now, in bottom lane, the archers have been stacking up, and it looks like we do have Hedgie currently flying down there, making sure that he gets that clear right away. We do have Sierra's currently going in on this camp. He will be clearing this out. It's a little bit early because I think we don't have another Punisher for another minute 15 or so, I believe. But at this point, it does create a lot of lane pressure. And the other thing that we do need to note here is this top lane is getting pressured quite hard. It does actually force a burrow from Dahaka, so he will be going up there right away. The rest of the team is going to be working on this camp. There is the zoning from Lincoln Park. This bottom camp will be getting cleared out right away. And at this point, it's just the teams are just kind of creating lane pressure and then responding to the opponent's lane pressure. This is interesting. Now, with the fact that they do see the Dahaka in the top lane, and I believe they knew that he used Burrow, they go for this fort. But at the same time, actually, Dahaka's he's not showing up there. So that was just they just took that. Never mind. I apologize. I'm trying to make assumptions because I can see everything on the map. But they go ahead and actually they get this camp over here, and they're going to try and time this out with the Immortal. And I believe they should be just on point with it. And actually, we have Dahaka currently getting isolated by a few members. Are they able to get on this in point? No, they won't be able to get onto it in time. They go ahead and they get a little damage onto the Shaman. I was going to call him a wizard, and I was like, that's not right at all. And that'd be very rude. But at this point, we do have Falstad currently in that top lane. He should have flight at this point, so we'll be able to fly into his team. Kael'thas still going into those flame talents, those flame strike talents, but he is only at 2 convection stats. The other thing we want to note here, too, is Falstad is at 39 of his stacks. Does he have Gust? He does. So if they do go in on him, do they get the pick? He currently barrel rolls forward. He has a little bit of speed. They are currently chasing him down, but do they go for the keep at this point? The entire team is here. Looks like they are going to go ahead and do that, actually. They're going to rotate onto this keep, but unfortunately it puts them in a really awkward position because the enemy team is currently going to rotate in up against them. They get the break it down, but it's only onto DSB Smiley here. Sarmaka is going to be falling. Sheepfu is starting to get away here. That will be a reset for Rex, but here he does get the cocoon, the web wrap disengage. We actually have JTR currently burrowing into the altar here. He's going to start this out, and I think the rest of the team is like, well, we can see it started, so we're going to rotate there too. But the rest of the team is going to take this safe route. They're going to go ahead and make sure that they don't get picked off here. And that one staggered death. Wait, did he get 4 stacks as he was dying? Holy crap. Okay. Good on you, Sarmaka. I don't think I could ever get 4 stacks as I'm dying as Kael'thas. That was good. But either way, we do have a little bit of zoning here from Bubbledust and Rex, but they're making sure that they kind of pushed a few of these members back. Now, at the same time, the one thing I want to note on the side of Misplaced Ults, the one thing I really liked that they did was they went ahead. They were chasing down Hedgie there, I believe. They got he got the disengage, but they said, we're all here. We can get this keep, and they ran for it, and that's going to create a lot of top lane pressure that they're going to need to deal with. Now, at the same time, they are at 32 out of 40. Kael'thas is back at this point, has rotated in. Falstad is showing in top. Sierras could be potentially falling here. They go ahead and they get this camp. Oh, but there's a huge mosh into a few of the people. Sierra spinning onto the Lucio. DSP Smiley is able to potentially get out. False step flying in at this point. Shamaka taking a ton of damage. Vern in the backline is taking so much. There's the gust onto a few of them. They're separating JTR from a few of the members with that feeling slight tunneling claws from the Dahaka. There will be getting the disengage, but they actually get the kill onto the Kael'thas. Now they do trade out for the Sonya, and this is still going to be the Punisher on the side of Alaska, and they're currently going to be marching onto this bottom lane. Now it does still have the gate. The other factor, though, that we have to consider is that we have 30 seconds till the next hero is alive, and this is currently a 3-man defense. Granted, you know, it's a 4v3, yes, but you have a Punisher, and it's a Mortar Punisher, and it sieges pretty hard here. They go ahead and they're clearing out this bottom lane quite quickly. The other thing we need to note here is Falstad has finished his season marksman stack, so look to see him utilizing that into this fight if he is not already. I don't think it shows as an act available for me. But they are starting to move on to this keep, and they're going to be creating counter lane pressure up against that top lane. The one thing we need to note right now, looking at the minimap, top lane has, I think, 3 to 4 catapults, or at least the 4th coming up the lane. Now, this is a half health Punisher, but 2 of the members that died just came back. Sonya is alive as well. They go ahead and they, you know, utilize her for the clean and top, and they rotate their team. Dahaka actually coming right underneath Bubble this, and I don't think they realize that they actually get the tongue from JTR, and this is another fight. ETC getting a slide in. Silences out onto Dahaka. He will be falling here for the first time. Finally, they get that kill onto him. He had lived through so many of those. There will be the roll forward from Greymane, and they actually lose the Dahaka in that trade. And that was technically a 5v4, and they ended up getting that kill. Kudos on Alaska. I mean, meanwhile, like, Sierras has been in top clearing. They're currently going to rotate into mid at this point and try and take another keep to create a little bit more pressure now that the Hawk is dead. They have the poke damage out from Rexpa, and they're going to try and utilize that as best as possible. Linkin Park getting stun onto Bubble this. There is the cocktail out, but it does not connect onto any of the members. Kael'thas having those double flame strikes. They need to watch for that on the side of Alaska, but it's definitely going to help him stack up a little bit quicker if he does get a couple people underneath one spot. But he's slowly getting there. He's working his way through. The web wrap is out actually, and that's going to be a 60-second cooldown. That were they trying to benefit from the double? Now the other thing that we need to know here is there are 2 catapults in top lanes. They're going to need to send someone back for that quite quickly. It looks like Hedgie was Hearthing. Okay, he's going to go ahead and do that. He will be the one to go back and take care of that. Bottom lane currently has catapults starting to siege there. Sonya is going to go ahead and start to work on this camp. This will create the top lane pressure that I think that they need, because currently that is the strongest lane for Misplaced Ults, and the same for not the same, but mid lane is the strongest for Alaska. And so at this point, if I was on Alaska, I'd be hoping for a mid lane Punisher. But if I'm on the side of Misplaced Ults, I am definitely hoping for that next top lane Punisher. But we're going to see in a few seconds here, we should have the next altar spawning. And this is just, this game has been quite intense. We actually have Falstad flying, and he will be able to get the disengage, but that is going to be flight burned. He actually went for the Farflight Quiver, or Nexus Frenzy. He actually didn't go for the Epic Mount, which is interesting. Okay, so he went for the extra damage. I mean, if you're going damage build, you know, you want to deal as much damage as possible. The only thing is just, I lean on Epic Mount as a crutch, because I love being able to just kind of zoom around the map as quick as possible. Now this altar has spawned in mid lane, so it is the best for Alaska at this point. Now they do have half a keep at this point on the side of Misplaced Ults, but also the thing that we need to note here is they're down about a level, and they don't have 20 zip. They're going to invade at this point. We're going to go ahead and pull away our bottom menu really quickly. There's the silence out from the Stukov. There is a pull from JTR, but it does not connect on to any of the members. They do zone quite a few members away here. There is a huge gust keeping Sierras alive here. A few of the members are they're crowding around him. He cannot see. Break It Down is used by the Lucio. We do have quite a few members in this backline getting heckled. We actually have the Sonya falling here. A huge flailing swipe from Vern, but Stukov will be falling, but Anubrak is going to be falling as well. So that is going to be a 2-for-1 trade currently in favor of Misplaced Ults. Rexpa's going to be falling extremely low here. There are no heals for him. Li Ming will be falling as well. So Shifu is going to be able to get the disengage. They do not have Gust. They have Mosh at this point. But it looks like they're going to be going ahead and rotating through this top lane, and it looks like they're going to go ahead and try and take the end of the game here. Now, they don't have another hero for, it looks like, about 35 seconds. They have a 2-man defense. They don't have a Gus at this point. There is a Mosh. Do they potentially get... Okay, I thought they were going for a few members, but Shifu is the focus of all the damage. He will actually be falling here. Mosh onto the Lucio. There is no healing currently, but the catapults are currently... They're actually not even shooting. Oh my god, the keep is actually going to be... The core is actually going to be shooting them. They get the pushback. Do they get the defense? Dahaka usually utilizing Tunneling Claws does... I don't think he has the... Oh my god, the 8% core. That's okay. Well, there's gonna be 33 seconds left on the Gray main. They currently have their Anubrak back and alive. I don't think, did he actually die during that entire engagement? Oh no, he died first. So he's currently back. He's the only line of defense currently. Now, at this point, it looks like they're gonna utilize this Punisher to make sure that they get all their members back in place. Now, at the same time, the one thing we need to know is there's this constant top lane pressure. Anubrak is currently clearing out bottom. Now, mid is the win condition currently here for Alaska. Their core is at 8%, but it does have shielding. The members of Misplaced Ults are coming back. We have Greymane up now. Lucio will be up in 4 seconds. Most of the ultimates are up for the majority of the teams except for Mosh. They are currently going straight onto this core. They just leave the Punisher behind. They just want to start burning this down. This is a core call. Nubrak diving in. The Punisher does jump out. The web wrap is out onto one of the members. I believe it's onto the Li Ming. They start to burn it down a little bit, trying to get her damage out here as well. Core starting to fall a little bit. Vern falling a little bit low himself. The spin is out from Sierras. They're getting so much damage out. This core is falling rapidly. They could potentially get it. The jump is out from the Punisher, and that is going to be game number 2 going over to Alaska. What phenomenal games